Okay, hi everybody. Thanks for coming this week. And I just mentioned this is our new house that we've been waiting 6 years for, if you can believe it, well, 2 big years of working to actually order and get it. So in our new shrine room, and you can see the two ladies behind me here. I'm actually allowed to run in from an angle, of course, those being the same beings anyway. So that's our Perfection of Wisdom, Blessed Mother, Prajna Paramita manifestation for our Blessing Our Heart Sutra course. So let's start again by reciting the Heart Sutra. Homage to perfection, wisdom, the Blessed Mother. Thus I have heard at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgir and Mass Vulture's Mountain. He had the great assembly of monks and nuns and the great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of countless aspects of phenomenon called profound illumination. At that time also Supreme Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva of the great beings, looking perfectly the prize of profound perfection wisdom, looking perfectly also the five aggregates being empty of inherent existence. Then through the power of Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to Spirit Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva, the great being, how should a son or daughter of the lineage trained wishes to engage in the practice of profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and Spirit Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, replied to Venerable Shariputra as follows. Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this. Subsequently, looking perfectly and correctly also the five aggregates being empty of inherent existence. Form is empty, emptiness is form. Emptiness is not other than form. Form also is not other than emptiness. Likewise, feeling, discrimination, compositional factors, and consciousness are empty. Should I put it like this? All phenomena of emptiness having no characteristics, do not produce and do not cease. They have no defilement, no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, should I put you in emptiness? There is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no compositional factors, and no consciousness. There is no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mentality, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no tactile object, no phenomenon. There is no I element, so forth, up to mentality element, also up to no element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance, and so forth, up to no aging and death, no exhaustion of aging and death. Likewise, there's no suffering, origin, cessation, or path, no exalted awareness, no attainment, also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there's no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. Their minds have no obstructions and no fear. Faster and beyond perversity, attain the final nirvana. Also, all Buddhas reside perfectly in the three times, having relied upon the perfection of wisdom, became manifest complete Buddhas in state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. Therefore, the mantra of perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal to the unequal mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it's not false, should be known as the truth. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is proclaimed, Tayatam Gadi Gada Paragada Parasamgadi Bodhisoha. Shariputra, Bodhisattva, great being, should train the profound perfection of wisdom like this. Then the Blessed One arose in that concentration, said to Spirit Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, that he'd spoken well. Good, good, O son, just like that, since it's like that, just as you have revealed. In that way, the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced, and Tathagatas will also rejoice. When the Blessed One had said this, Venerable Shariputra, Spirit Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, the entire circle of disciples, as well as worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, and spirits were delighted in and praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One. Okay, so let's take a moment to do our meditation now, so we can make ourselves comfortable, seated cross-legged or on a chair, and have it straight back. And we'll visualize ourselves in a wide open space, ground like lapis lazuli. So it's kind of like being in an outdoor concert, and we've got beautiful blue skies, a dome above us. And we're surrounded by all sentient beings of our world and the spirit world here. So we can think of humans from all over, those being closest kind of in our mandala and then working outwards. So mother on our left, father on the right, people we love the most behind us to support, and people we like the least in front of us as objects of our prayers and healing. Moving out from now, just sort of outward, people from all over the world, especially people in wars and conflict zones. And we know what those are. There's always something in samsara, but there's a lot of really, really bad wars going on now. So we can just feel that all those people suffering are here with us meditating. The whole natural world, the animal realm, are sort of Gaia ecosystems here with us. All little beings from really, really tiny insects and bacteria and whatever, all the way up to big animals and so forth. Spirit world is here, just as numerous and varied. All the different ecosystems of the spirit world, so to speak. Think of beings from the astral, ethereal, and elemental planes and so forth. Different god and demigods here. and countless beings, sort of beyond number almost, of lower states of rebirth in the hell and unreal realms. So the sentient being family, the huge extended sentient being family is here. We're all here together meditating. We're all going to get enlightened together. We can't do it without one another. So we're all here together in that process. And now, beautiful blue sky. Let's look up. We'll do the same thing, kind of our own little short meditation here. In the sky, we've got two suns, like in the sky, figuratively, so to speak. We've got Buddhist Shakyamuni. It's just a beautiful golden sun above us and in front of us here. And he's just floating in space. We'll have him without a lion throne and so forth. So he's got a golden body, 3 robes of a monk, lotus position. Left hand holding Big Bowl medicinal nectar, right hand touching the earth in the subduing mudra. And above him, so it's almost like a dual star or whatever, is Prajnaparamita, the Buddhist goddess of wisdom, like Sophia. She's golden and beautiful and young, and just like a princess or a queen. She's got like a crown on, and wonderful jewelry and so forth. And she's in lotus position form. So first two are in meditative equipoise at her lap. Left, the other two, left one is holding Prajnaparamita text, kind of like her own text on emptiness, 100,000 lines, and then holding a, well, sometimes you can have a double dorje if you like, or a single dorje. I'll leave it up to you guys, but you want to visualize golden dorje in her right hand. So beautiful. It's almost again like just two suns shining golden energy down to us. And we take refuge from our heart. We go I and all sentient beings into each even enlightenment, go for refuge to Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. So from our heart, taking refuge, and sort of running from suffering to sort of the confident place that alleviate or heal that suffering, the medicine. In this case, being the Heart Sutra, we just think about emptiness being that medicine. So Buddha as the doctor, teacher doctor, Dharma as the medicine emptiness, and the Sangha as the, you can think of the nurses or EMTs or paramedics or whatever you want, or everyone else helping the doctor with you to get the medicine for your suffering. And the bodhicitta, through the virtues we collect by giving other perfections, we can look at it for the benefit of all. So all of our virtues, all of our goodness may be put towards the enlightenment of all sentient beings, in particular for us to get enlightened. Now, once we're enlightened, all we do is help everyone else get enlightened. Even right now, us being here together, this is for that reason. We're dedicating. Take a moment to generate the 4 measurables. May everyone be happy, free from misery, be separated from their happiness. May everyone have equanimity, free from attachment. So again, generating love in our hearts, compassion, joy, and equanimity. And just going through in our hearts here, these 7 practice, making our practice Buddhist. So again, prostration, offering, declaration, confession, rejoicing, asking all holy beings or light beings to stay with us and to teach, and dedication. So again, from our heart, generating prostration, sign of respect and devotion to the path here, to the all holy beings, to emptiness. Opening our heart with an attitude of complete generosity towards all beings. Even with our study here and our teaching here together, just we're sharing all of this with all beings. 2 poles here, declaring and rejoicing, so standing up, owning all your karma, and this is me, naked in front of all the Buddhas and all sentient beings, good and bad. I'm going to work on the bad stuff, and really heal it, outgrow it, let it go, leave it behind, and get to the good stuff. And self-overcome. And rejoice on this, rejoice on me, even trying to do this path in front of everyone here, just really standing up and making an effort, and rejoicing in all the goodness in the world, and everyone else making their own spiritual efforts, and all the virtues people have, and virtues the holy beings have as well. And now asking all holy beings, all light beings to always stay with us and always continue to teach and to guide us. May we never be left alone. This is, we're in the dark. They have the light. They've got the candle lighting our little candle here. We don't want big sort of breeze to come through and blow the candles out, and we're back in the dark of our own sort of ignorant, selfish, completely lost and deluded mind. So we're always asking, please stay with us and teach us, guide us. And dedicating all of this, everything we're doing, taking all big bundle, all the good energy, and sending it off towards the goal of enlightenment. Again, just our own version of mental offering, just all holding in your hand, just holding the whole beautiful universe, all beautiful things that you've seen in your life. Just all this goodness and beauty. We're just offering this up to all holy beings here and to all sentient beings too, just sending this out, all of this beauty. Okay. Bless Buddha Shakyamuni, Prajna Paramita, just people that since small Buddha jewels, the body since small, sorry, your mind is since small Buddha jewels, your speech is synthesis of all Dharma jewels, and your body is a synthesis of all Sangha jewels. Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha here. Please grant us your blessings of body, speech, and mind, all of your compassion, your wisdom, your power. That request, we can just feel this, first of all, that Prajna Paramita starts to melt into light, become like a globe of burning, beautiful white light. And then she sort of goes down, dissolves into Buddha Shakyamuni. He becomes sort of just like a sun, beautiful, again, white or golden light, whatever you like. The sky, it starts to shrink. And then like a little star about the size of a piece of corn or the sunflower seed. And so like a shooting star, but really slow, just like sometimes when you see a satellite going across sky when you're camping, that's kind of slow like that. He comes down the crown of our head. You know, the pure light of energy can enter us and slowly descends into our heart. So right now at our heart, we have that beautiful star. Golden energy melts, becomes one with us. And all that compassion, wisdom and power of all the Buddhist goodness, in particular the wisdom of Prajna Paramita, wisdom realizing emptiness. On a tantric level, we think that that wisdom is mixed with great, great deep bliss and joy. Again, let's just have this, our meditation here. Great, great spaciousness, great luminosity or awakeness that we're meditating on this. Sort of clarity, awakeness, vividness, and beautiful bliss, a sense of complete totality, being one with things and content. So peace, satisfying, blissful, and then joy, just feel like a real positive, affirming energy. Just sit here and meditate for a few minutes. meditation now. Short meditation there. Okay, so again, thanks for coming, everybody, and we'll do our second class of Heart Sutra here. So I'm going to be away for about, I guess, 2.5 weeks or so, starting today. So I'll do some recordings for the next few classes on Heart Sutra, but I just wanted to, even when leaving today, be able to do a class, live class. I like those better than doing the recordings. You know, when you're recording, you're just like talking to yourself, just see yourself on the screen. Just, I don't know, it's just kind of funny to do that. So it's nice to actually have people show up, which is good. Okay, so I've got 2 classes here, and I'm actually just looking at the time here. We'll see how much we can do. I don't want to take too much time, but I might actually be able to sort of put material from the 3rd class into in this one here. And there's a couple of things that I think are really, really helpful. This is a little just, I just realized looking over the information that it's a little bit more of an exposition just on the intro. So I might be able to go through it fairly quickly. So we'll see. So the first note I have here is, of course, when you start any sutra, it's this idea that it's, of course, being recited by somebody, kind of like this, you know, sort of a student of Buddha or, you know, narrator. You don't know who does. It's kind of interesting that there's a sense of selflessness there. It's not like, oh, hi, I'm Matthew, by the way, you know, whatever, 2 years ago, I heard Buddha, I was there, I grabbed some lunch, I went to the teaching, I had this amazing experience, Buddha said this and that, and it had an effect on me. Like, in other words, there's no sort of biography of the person stating it. There's something very almost sort of objective about it. So it always starts with, you know, I heard this once upon a time, so to speak. I heard this following sutra, you know, I was there. So again, where does this come from? Of course, all these sutras, you know, if you look at the 3 baskets that were sort of compiled after Buddha passed into parinirvana, you know, a lot of these, well, the teachings for all these different sutras and discourses by the Buddha were remembered by the flawless enlightened memory of all his enlightened students, or the Arhat Council. So a lot of them, they wouldn't name, you know, they'd say, oh, you know, basically they, you know, recite the sutra, people would write it down, but it's like, I was there, you don't know who it was, but whatever, I was there at Rajgir, I was there at Vasali, I was there at Kushagar, all these places with Buddha. This is what he said on this day, you know, about this particular topic. So it's the idea that this is sort of a first-hand account. To contrast a little bit, and I don't mean this in any sense, but if you get this, like, let's say with the Gospels, these are all being written, let's say in the Christian tradition, life story of Jesus by people that weren't there. They were, again, it's not like I was there, it's just that, you know, I heard this from people that were there. But again, that's the whole point. Like, if you remember, we're getting into Christian theology here, but if you remember it with St. Paul, this was the thing that he said, is that, and really, there's a good argument to be made that Christianity really is a creation of St. Paul. He's the one that universalized it. So, of course, he had an experience of his own of Jesus, but when he went to the first sort of Christian councils and teachings and stuff and met students that were direct students of Jesus, like St. Peter or wherever else in at the time, he would say, you know, they'd be discussing stuff and how they're going to teach this and that, and they'd always love it. And they say, okay, dude, Paul, you weren't there. You weren't Jesus' student. We were there. You weren't. And he's like, well, it doesn't matter, because Jesus appeared to me directly in the same ways he did to you, showing that this is available to everybody. Everybody can have a direct experience of Jesus as his student. You don't have to be there as a historical person, because it's something bigger and more universal than that. And that's what made sort of the creation in the West of, you know, the idea of universalism comes right from St. Paul for that. Anyway, it's interesting, but it's another similar thing here when we're getting sutras or Buddha's discourses. These are firsthand accounts by someone who was there, but they don't say who that was. So it's interesting that these sutras, they're actually from someone's experience, but it's universalized to the extent that when you read it, it's for your own experience as well. You can connect with it directly, rather than someone saying, oh, I had this experience, I was there, you weren't, I know something you can never know, I had feelings that you can never have because I was there and you weren't. There's this idea that the Heart Sutra, when you read it, even though it's being dictated by someone who's there witnessing it, that it's for everybody, it's open to everybody. this idea that there's this idea that I heard once here that these teachings are very, very rare. So the Heart Sutra is really, really rare to hear these teachings so direct, the heart of the perfection wisdom teachings sort of in this world. Okay, so this, so these teachings were memorized on the spot by the students that were there, and then they convert to you. I have a term here, Kelwa in Tibetan, which means spiritual momentum. So the spiritual momentum you have on your path is from keeping your pure vows and your pure practice. So the more you sort of keep this, build a momentum, the more you're sort of go to becoming a conqueror, conquering your obstacles, becoming an enlightened being. If you're the one that has gone beyond the ups and downs of worldly living or samsara. Okay, here the term that you get where Buddha taught this particular teaching, what they call the second turning wheel term, all the Prajnaparamita or perfection of wisdom teachings, was at Rajgir or Vulture's Peak. The direct translation is the mountain of pile of wild birds. They said, I guess that's sort of the direct translation, maybe from Pali or something. Vulture's Peak, because it looks like a vulture's head. So it's the idea that sort of the tip of the head, like just with the beak and stuff, that's the way that specific spot looks when you're in Bihar. And Buddha sat there with the Sangha, fully ordained monks and bodhisattvas and all sorts of other higher beings. So one thing that our teachers, Zasep Rinpoche, always says, is kind of maybe not a joke, but when you go there, and we were fortunate to go there with Rinpoche in 2017, it's actually really small. So it's kind of funny, like when you go there, it's like a small restaurant, like the peak of this particular mountain where people taught this. So Rinpoche always says that the first question everyone asks is like, well, how did all these people fit here? Like if you have in the sutra that all these people show up with Buddha, we're sitting here, there's like 10 of us, we could barely fit on the top of this mountain, right? So what gives? Like how did Buddha actually do this? But Rinpoche says, like, this is almost teaching in the spirit world. You can have people there from different, or beings from different dimensions, astrally and so forth. You don't know if people were sitting around there. And the point that when Buddha teaches, everyone can hear him directly. Like even if you're right beside him or you're like half a kilometer away or something, you can get the teachings almost psychically. So when you're there, it's actually a really, really beautiful spot. They've got a lot of temples around there, and it's quite something. So that's the two, is fairly nearby. You can see, I mean, you still have to take a bus, and it's a bit of a drive out there from where Buddha first taught the first turn wheel Dharma, where he taught at Sarnath outside of Varanasi, the teachings on the Four Noble Truths, or Arya Truths. Then a little bit away are all these perfection of wisdom teachings. So this is the spot in India, in Bihar, where the Heart Sutra was recited here. Okay, again, like I mentioned last time, there's this idea of translation from Heart Truth as quote unquote conquering lady, which is conquering negativities and things preventing you reaching enlightenment. So again, this is the idea, which is kind of, I don't want to say anything too controversial. Everyone's going to want to sort of debate me on this, but it is kind of interesting. But it's this idea that the Prajnaparamita perfection wisdom teachings are a feminine teaching, in a sense that it's almost a matriarchal line in a spiritual sense, because it goes back to Prajnaparamita, which is almost like a wisdom goddess, or Sophia. So this is where we get the idea in Tantra of bikinis, for instance, or sort of female deities, sort of the sort of lunar nighttime side compared to sort of the masculine solar side. So the Heart Sutra teaches sort of wisdom almost from a quote unquote feminine point of view here. So the Heart Sutra, known as the conquering lady, sort of the heart of Prajnaparamita. So we can say, it's kind of funny that I was a member, an old friend of mine, he's passed on, Buddhist friend of mine. Him and his partner were at the doctor for something, and the doctor said, "Are you two religious?" And they go, "Yeah." And he goes, the doctor says, "I could never be religious." And my friend Richard was like, "Well, why not?" He says, "Well, because I'm an atheist." And Richard said, "Well, I am too," right? Like I'm Buddhist. And so the doctor's like, "Oh, that's kind of weird." So it's interesting that we can talk about these things. This is Buddhism is an atheistic religion because, of course, emptiness, which is the main principle of Buddhism, isn't a god. It isn't sort of divine energy or any of these things. It's just an absence of inherent existence. So when we're even personifying the wisdom realizing emptiness as being this goddess, it's sort of the idea that it's, of course, a figurative or metaphorical symbol here. So it's kind of funny that it's an atheistic. I've had a number of friends because I take them to temples when I'm in Japan or wherever we go to, in Hong Kong or something, and they're always like, "Dude, this is like I thought this was like an atheistic religion. Look at all these gods and goddesses," and I'm like, "Well, these are conceptual beings. These are metaphors. These are figurative things to help you understand and realize the higher teachings." So if we have something like a mother goddess, well, I wouldn't say like a wisdom goddess, I should say a Prajnaparamita, of which Master Gladron behind us is an emanation of this. It would seem like it's almost kind of this, again, mother goddess or some kind of divinity that creates the world, self-subsisting, but really it's a figurative presentation of emptiness itself, wisdom realizing emptiness, all good things, all medicine, all healing coming from this, all phenomena arising from this. So something coming out of nothing, something coming out of an absence, the wisdom of the two truths. It's kind of interesting. This is seen as being sort of a feminine, sort of lunar teaching here. And we call it, again, like I said, the heart of the Heart Sutra, because this is the heart of the Prajnaparamita teachings on the wisdom, or perfection wisdom realizing emptiness. And so because it's on emptiness, it's the heart of Buddha's teachings itself. So that's why I like meditating where we have Prajnaparamita coming into the Buddha, because Buddha basically, even in these sutras, gives devotion to Prajnaparamita as this goddess of wisdom. Because everything comes from emptiness. We can talk about Tara, the goddess Tara being also wisdom goddess in Buddhism, and we say she's the mother of all Buddhas. So how can Tara be the mother of all Buddhas? Well, she is a manifestation like the Prajnaparamita, the wisdom realizing emptiness. All things come from that. Okay, perfection, wisdom, perfect. This is perfect knowledge, knowing emptiness. I have here just these connotations of Prajnaparamita, the idea of the wisdom that takes you to the other side, of course, as the other side takes you outside of samsara. And in particular, perfection wisdom, you have to remember that this is a Mahayana teaching. So we're seeing emptiness directly under the influence of bodhicitta, or universal love and compassion. So again, that's the difference. If you realize emptiness directly, without that, you are an arhat. You are a saint. You are a foe destroyer. You've reached nirvana, you've overcome, you've sort of transcended samsara. But again, you're something different than a Buddha who has manifested, realized emptiness directly, but under the influence of universal love or compassion. So that's almost like a different life form that you become. And of course, being a Buddha that way, what happens is that through love and compassion, you start teaching emptiness to all sentient beings that they reach the same state. So it is like you end up becoming like a mother, Prajnaparamita, giving birth to all these other Buddhas by teaching all sentient beings emptiness. Okay, that's that. I have here that Shariputra is like, if you actually read it, it's very sweet. Years ago at Sir Ling in Vancouver, we spent a number of months. Some people might remember this. This was our Dharma student friend Ulrich. We decided to read the Perfection Wisdom Sutra, the large one, the 100,000 lines, together like a I guess like a recitation. I want to try to find the Tibetan word for it. Obviously, it's not a lungus. We're not giving the transmission to anybody, but we just decided, I can't remember, it was years ago, she just came up with the idea that it would be a good idea as a blessing to read this together. So we would take turns reading it at the center, maybe once a week, and it took us months and months and months because it's such a big book. And it was really, really incredible and really blessed. And like all of these things, the power of that sutra and kind of the holy energy from it, at the end of reading it, we all felt different. We all felt kind of transformed. But the main interlocutor, you could say, almost like a Platonic dialogue in the in that sutra is one of Buddhist students called Subhuti. So he's seen as a manifestation of the Buddha wisdom and Manjushri. And he's the one that asks the questions a lot. As you know, there's always a student asking Buddha to teach something, or Buddha's talking to. So it's interesting that you would think that if he's kind of one of the main characters or protagonists, so to speak, of the Prajnaparamita Sutra, why wouldn't he be in the Heart Sutra, which is the heart of it, it's the condensation? He's not in there. It's actually two of other Buddhist students, of course, Avalokiteshvara, in Bodhisattva form. That's the Buddha wisdom, and Shariputra, one of Buddha's main senior students and famous arhat. They sort of take the place in this case of Subhuti as sort of posing as struggling students, as asking these questions. So again, they always say that Buddha can emanate as students or people in the audience to sort of direct the discussion or a certain way by asking certain questions or getting into dialogue with Buddha as he's teaching. This is one of the other reasons I should point out that you always have to have peer-reviewed all senti beings, that you don't know if Buddha's. So the guy in the audience who's asking all the stupid questions to Rinpoche, or you go to see His Holiness the Dalai Lama, there's always some like, oh my God, that guy's asking another dumb question. You don't know if the Buddha's actually manifesting as that person asking the quote unquote stupid questions to actually move enlightenment along a little bit. So there you go. So in this case with the Heart Sutra, Shariputra is sort of like Subhuti. So again, that's the information I have, which isn't very much, just on the second presentation of just us getting started. So that's why I wanted to have a quick discussion here. Maybe we can have some question and answers from the third class of what's important, how you sort of, to realize emptiness directly, you need big energy or big karma, big virtue to realize it. How do you, what do you need to do to collect that kind of karma? Now, of course, there's a million different books out there on how to do this, but I actually kind of like just some informal things that Geshe Michael had said on this when he was giving some commentary to the Heart Sutra. I found this really, really helpful. So he said, to get serious and prepare to see emptiness directly, you need to collect good karma. So there's basically, he listed 5 things. And again, you've heard all this before, but I just kind of like the way his presentation. So number 1 is find a real Lama. You will never see emptiness directly just by reading books. Serve them all the time. Commit time and effort to them. So basically, you have to find, like, not just a teacher, but a real teacher, someone who's actually seen emptiness at the very basis. Someone you could say is kind of working towards the path of preparation, has a direct experience of the intellectual understanding, or sort of the direct image of emptiness at the very sort of minimum, that you have that. Preferable is to actually find someone who's seen emptiness directly. And of course, someone who's, like, as I've always said in the books, they don't have an ego, so they don't run around broadcasting. They'll say, hi, I'm Matthew Richards. I've seen emptiness directly. I'm happy to show you the way to see emptiness directly too. They're very, very humble. They don't say any of these things. You kind of have to find out in your own way and do your research into this and that, who's have these high realizations. But basically, this is the root of the path, is you can't see emptiness directly unless you have someone helping you to do it. And so that's the number 1 cause for you to see emptiness. And again, if we do it like we do it nowadays, where we just download everything in the internet, do our own sort of research, this and that, we don't need a teacher, then you're only going to be hitting the wall of your own prejudices and limitations there. So we really do need to find a realized Lama or teacher. And then just the Guru Yoga of serving them and studying with them, being with them, spending time. One of my close Dharma friends also ran a healing acupuncture center in Toronto, did a lot of work with First Nations people. And he had this a few years ago. I really like this. They had some Cree elders, I think it was from some part in Ontario, came to Toronto and did a bunch of ceremonies, healing ceremonies. And then, of course, at the end of it, people were like, oh, please, the elders, I can't remember, I don't know who they are anyway, but there's a bunch of them. Can you come to Toronto every weekend or something and teach these ceremonies for us? So a whole bunch of people ask. And they said, no. And everyone's like, what? No? And they said, no. And they said, well, why not? Wow, you're being selfish. Why are you? And they said, no, look, good reason. And they said, we're not going to teach these ceremonies to you. Because they said, these ceremonies, to perfect them, what it means to really be First Nations and Cree. And they weren't making a racist argument like, oh, we have it, you don't. But they said, it's interesting. They said, we're not going to sit here and teach you these ceremonies or rituals, because being Cree or doing these rituals is a way of life. Is a way of life. So this is a very Wittgensteinian argument here, that it's not enough just to know these kind of like little magic tricks or rituals that you do once in a while. This is something you have to live. And by living the life, the rituals come out of that. So it's the same thing with actually having a teacher here. You have to make it a way of life, committing to a teacher. So it's not just seeing them once in a while, getting some magic tricks or some fortune cookie sayings on emptiness and doing your own thing with it. You have to serve them and be with them through time, almost like being with family, where it's like visiting your mom or helping out with your neighbors or being part of a community. You have to be with them over time. But that's what they call kind of like the mind-to-mind transmissions, like being with someone and being intimate with someone like that on that level, just like being married to somebody or being, again, part of a church community, something over time, you change, you become like them. So this is it. You want to make sure that they're the top quality, because you're going to end up being just like them. You want to make sure that they have all the realizations, emptiness. But this is the idea. The number one thing is you have to find a teacher and serve them all the time, commit the time and the effort to them and be with them over time. Then these teachings on emptiness will be communicated to you directly. Number two, commit to a Dharma center. So this is unbelievable karma by spreading the Dharma, by becoming part of a Dharma community. So you're by serving a community, you become sort of the means by which the teachings of emptiness are sent out into the world to help all beings. So it's incredible karma to actually be part of that process. It's not just benefiting you, but by you being there, serving the community, you're keeping the teachings or the light in the world that allows everyone to access it. So it's incredible karma. So this is the other thing. However it is that you serve a Dharma community, but you can't be sort of a lone wolf and just do it all your own, have nothing to do with it. You have to sort of be part of a community and offer up to it. And even he says here, get your hands dirty, as we know, by doing all the sort of menial things to keep the Dharma centers open. You know, here in the West, we don't have the same thing, but when you're in Asia, what I like is just like churches, like Anglican churches in England, temples in India, in let's say a lot of parts of Asia, are open all the time. You can go at any time to be in them. This idea that people are keeping this light or sacred space open, that it's there when you need it, when you're there finally called to sort of embark on the path, it's waiting for you. It's kind of like a bus stop. You can walk there and the bus comes to pick you up. Okay, number three, study 300 to 400 hours. I have no idea where we got these numbers here. Lots of study all the teachings. Okay, this is actually, they say, even a vow in your bodhisattva vows, to really that you have to study these things. You, again, I don't know if it's at 10,000 hours or was it 10,000 steps or 1,000 steps or 1,000 hours. I can't remember what it takes for you to become a master of anything, whether it's, cooking or whatever, being a carpenter or something. You just have to put the time in and study. So a lot of times has to be an active study, of course, when a lot of times people are not being critical. But I remember at one point, I guess Michael said, don't be what he calls a quote unquote professional Dharma student. What he meant by that is sort of this passive thing where you don't actually practice and you don't study. You just always go see someone's Dalai Lama, you buy tonkas, you have a little mala on your wrist, you go to all the Buddhist film events and whatever new temple opens or new stupa, Matthew's there all the time, but Matthew never meditates or studies. He's part of the Buddhist community. He's kind of someone that's always there, kind of like Buddhist celebrity, or, oh, this guy's here, been here, he shows up to everything. But he's not actually studying, putting the time in to get enlightened. So a lot of times I said, you get this a lot where, you don't want to have it where, with our Lama, just like Rinpoche TV, where you go to see Zaza Rinpoche and it's like, you're so blissed out, like our friend George Chilser said, like an energy junkie. You sit there in the audience and you're, oh my God, all Buddha's tantric empowerment blessing, oh my God. But you're not actually doing anything with the information or the energy. You're just kind of like soaking it all in. We have to sort of have an active study with it. Number 4, which I actually really like, this is a huge cornerstone of other religious communities like Christianity, or even I like with Sikhism, where they're always cooking for everybody. It says, help the needy, serve the community. This will help you realize emptiness. So the idea of serving other people. There's, like I say, other religions, Judaism, Christianity, even Islam, this is actually part of the religion where you have to do charity work. You have to take care of other people. A lot of times the Buddhist community in the West can be a little bit more intellectual, maybe a little bit more wealthy or something, where you don't have Buddhist soup kitchens. There's some Buddhist hospices, I know, but there isn't a community outreach like you have with other religions. I guess maybe it doesn't have to be formal, but it has here that you have to take care of other people. You have to do something to take care of other people. That's part of the path. This allows you to practice the 6 perfections of, again, obviously giving, moral discipline, joyous effort, patience, concentration, wisdom. Taking care of other people puts your Dharma practice into practice. It helps embody it. So that will help you realize emptiness. And again, just like we did in the last course here, you have to learn to meditate, to go to a deep state, concentration, of shamatha and vipassana. And again, Geshe Michael recommends 1 to 2 hours of silent meditation a day. Of course, that's very hard to do, but this is an idea that you're trying to sort of build up till you do more and more deep absorption work, meditative work. Of course, that's what allows you to see emptiness directly, is, of course, like we said before, real the mind of tranquil abiding and superior seeing or vipassana. Okay, post-meditation work to maintain these 5 things, in particular the meditation going here. So one thing I have here is don't be too drowsy, don't eat too much, obviously, just with your meditation and living as a Dharma person. Get enough sleep so you can wake up early and meditate. And then I'm going to get a good laugh at this. Well, there's one here is don't get into hassles with others, no drama. Of course, this will ruin your meditation if you're running around fighting with everybody, obviously. And then I have here, I don't know, whatever. I just said, don't wimp out, the idea of resolve all your doubts and questions and so forth. So don't sort of get derailed by your own hang-ups and confusions and issues. But have one here, which is good. Don't spend too much time with the senses. Don't live for the senses because it ruins your meditation. Otherwise, don't spend too much time on TV, music, all these kinds of things. Well, of course, nowadays with our phones, this class Geshe Michael taught was, I think, in 2000 before he went on a 3-year retreat. So we can think of how the world is very different 23 years ago, when you think that we didn't have much of an internet. We had email and stuff. So think how distracted we are now. So that's the idea of withdrawing your senses from the world, from things that are addictive, that numb you or stimulate you, is very, very hard to do now. We're in a world of addiction, and like William Burroughs would say, and so it's very, very difficult to do that now. But technically, if we want to absorb into meditation, we have to do that to realize emptiness. So there you go. I'll just finish on that. I really like those little 5 ways to see emptiness. So again, commit to a teacher, commit to a Dharma center, commit to study, a real good study program on Dharma and emptiness. And of course, meditating on that, real tranquil abiding or shamatha, and then help the needy, serve your community, be out there and care for people. I think if you put all those 5 things together, you have a really good chance at seeing emptiness. So there you go. That's it for this week. And the next, like I say, 2 or 3 weeks, just while I'm away here before I get back to Nelson, I'll be recording some classes and stuff. Does anyone have any questions before we finish on that, or just sharing, or any comments just on that? Anyway, I'd like you to think about those 5 things in particular. A lot of it, as we know, as Dharma people, are sort of obvious, but even just how much quote unquote charity work, I mean, sort of committing and serving a Dharma center itself is charity work, but just how much of caring for other people that we sort of need to do to really overcome our self-cherishing. Anyway, that's a good thing to think about. So anything, all good? Okay, thumbs up, I guess we're good. So
Matthew, I just want to say thank you for this, because it crystallizes everything, it's very easy to get distracted and lose your focus in spite of how much you do. And this practice is so lovely. This is a very good disciplining kind of a thing, just these points. So thank you.
You're welcome. So I don't like to make light of it. It might be sort of, I don't want to make a controversial example, but basically, if you could sort of see that in samsara, we're all drug addicts in recovery, and we all basically, and we're all just trying to overcome the addictions of samsara, and we're suffering, and we're all going to recovery, and we're all, hi, my name is so-and-so, like this, and we're all supporting each other to try and get out of this. So it's that idea of discipline, or just even like I say, going to the gym, being on a diet. You have to learn a new language for work. There's a deadline at the end of this year. You have to speak Mandarin. It's the same kind of thing. And it's hard because our whole life on a professional level is doing this. So it's hard on your time off to commit to something, have more discipline to something that's even more important, which is basically on a cosmic level, your spiritual awakening. It's very, very difficult, but like Marsha, it's exactly right. We have to keep coming back to this again and again and again and work at it. So lifetime after lifetime, right? Okay, so lots of love. Let's take a moment to dedicate here that by blessings of all holy beings, the truth of karma and the power of a pure bodhicitta intention, may all of our dharma wishes be fulfilled, sentient beings for each of we. Okay, thank you, and see you next time. We'll just press stop here. So.